Hi, this is Kate from Izzalicious Designs. Today I'm going to show you how to make the Joker. Now, we are still going to be using the base head for the clown, which I will link the tutorial for. However, you're going to be using green hair instead, so green bands instead of red bands, okay? But other than that, you're following the same pattern for the clown base head. You are also going to be making two arms, and the colors you're going to use for that are purple and white. Okay, now with the arms you're going to do a magic ring of 8. You're then going to do 2 rounds of white. Okay, no increases or decreases, just 2 rounds of white and 6 rounds of purple. Okay, you're going to do that twice, and you're going to have these ready before we actually start this tutorial. The other things you're going to need are toy safety eyes. I use the 9mm toy safety eyes with the washer. Okay, you're going to need a stitch marker of some sort. I really like these ones. These are my stitch marker of choice. They come in a little packet. They're not terribly expensive, but if you don't have these, you can use a bobby pin. I'm sorry, you're going to have to bear with me today. It's voting day here in the US, and so school is out, and Izzy has her best friend over playing, and so they just ran in from outside. Go, Mum, I'm recording. So if you see lots of pauses and restarts, you know why. I'm being inundated with children. So anyway, yes, green hair, safety eyes, little stitch markers, 2.75mm hook. Is what I need. Colours that you're going to need for this, obviously the green for the eyebrows and his little tie, red for his mouth, white for his face and hands and his nose. We've got a little nose here. A little bit of orange for his shirt, which is, or waistcoat, I guess it's a shirt. Purple obviously, and black for his shoes. So quite a few colours, but there we go. That's what we're going to do. Now the first thing, when you do the base head, for the neck you have two lines for the neck. You have the first row, and then you have the second row where we do a single crochet and an increase. We are going to unpick that. We're going to unpick the single crochet and increase. So if you haven't made your head yet, or you are making it, that last round we're going to unpick. Now to unpick, and I'll show you how to do it, unhook your last stitch, leave your stitch marker on this. This is your first stitch, okay? So you're going to leave your stitch marker on it, and we're just going to unpick this last round. And the reason that we're going to do this is we're going to do this last round in the colours of his shirt, so orange and purple, okay, so that it fits in a little nicer with his suit. Otherwise it's going to look like his shirt doesn't come all the way up to his neck. So unpick all the way until you get to this last stitch. Now this last stitch is actually the first stitch, okay? This here now, this one, is the last stitch, okay, because that was our first stitch. So this one here is the last stitch for the previous round. So undo your stitch marker, and you're going to take that one out, okay, and you've got your hook on here. So this is our first stitch, and we're going to, if you have a look at the colours, we're going to use in the front here, we're going to use orange. So we only need a few orange, and it's just going to be in the first 1, 2 and 3 rounds. However, it's important that we have them. So just a couple. We're going to do a slip stitch because it's a colour change, like so. We're going to put our stitch marker onto that. That's our first stitch, okay? But now we're changing to purple, because if you pull it across here, it's going to be purple. So what we're going to do is colour change again. So it's a slip stitch, like so. Now that single crochet and increase is in the second stitch, if you remember. So we're going to go back into here, and we're going to do a single crochet. Alright, and then it's a single crochet, and an increase. Oopsie, make sure we don't include that as well. Single crochet and an increase. Single crochet and an increase. Now you want to make sure that the orange is at the front here, so we're going to this one here is going to be orange because that's matching where this one is. All right, so now we'll change back to orange, and what we're doing, we've just done an increase, so we need to do a single crochet, but it's a color change, so it's going to be a slip stitch. Okay, so that will take the place of our single crochet. We do an increase, and the cat's not very impressed. I've got all these bands all over the place, and she's like, hey, where's my spot to sit? And then we do a single crochet, and then we do an increase. 1 and oopsie, 2. All right, so on our first stitch for our second round, okay, well, it's actually, that was our last round of the neck, so these rounds are going to be for the body. Okay, and we actually have 6 rounds for the body. We have 4 for the shirt and 2 for the pants, but in total it's 6. And because we're doing this particular one and he wears a purple suit, each of them are going to be in purple except for these little bits in orange. So the first stitch is going to be in orange, and we will move our stitch marker. We then change to purple. We miss this first little bit here that goes down because that's our slip stitch, so this is our actual stitch, and all we're doing is single crochets all the way around. Okay, so it's a slip stitch because it's a color change, but then we go into each stitch and we're just doing single crochets, no increases and no decreases. And as I mentioned, 3 of these rounds are going to be having orange in them. Keep the green hair out of the way. You don't want to accidentally get them loomed into the bands, because that would be bad. So we'll just go around with our purple to start with. Now, if you have a look here, okay, we have a purple stitch here. If we do purple in this one, it's going to pull across into the orange, and we really don't want that. So we're going to color change to orange now, so do a slip stitch, and if you look then, it marries in quite nicely. There's our slip stitch here. We're going to pop into the real stitch and do orange. 1, 2, now you need to get a stitch marker ready, because before we move to our next round we're going to do his little green tie, and it's going to tie in to the next round. So this is my last stitch. I'm going to pop a stitch marker just on here. Well, actually, you know what, I'll use the stitch marker I have on my first stitch, and I'll just pop that last stitch on. Okay, so for his necktie, what we're going to do is, let's put his eyes in first, actually, because then we'll have a good place to know where the center is. Okay, so having a look here, we come down about, whoops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we want to go about here. We need 3 spots, 1, 2, 3 in between. So I think maybe here and here, or here and here. We will play around and see where suits us best. Let's see. I'm going to go here and here. Now, the good thing about this is if you don't like where you put your eyes, you can take them out and reposition them. I normally like to have 1, 2 and 3 little dots between where my eyes are, and I come down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I have them in the row. So I like them here. I'm going to push the washers on to secure them into place. I like to hear these click once. Oh, I kind of heard that click. Oh, that clicked twice. Now, because that clicked twice, I'm going to need the other side to click twice. Otherwise, they sort of look a bit, one is tighter than the other, and I don't think that looks right. So let's see if I can do this. There we go. Click that one in twice as well. Alright, so we have his waistcoat coming down. Yeah, I think that's okay. What we're going to do, okay, so for the back, for the tie, we're going through this loop and this loop here. Okay, so if you center it down the middle here, you've got these 2 loops. You're going to have these 2 bits of white either side. You're going to take your green band and pull it through. Now, the side that is furthest from your hook, closest to the end, you're going to pop a little stitch marker on, a pencil, paper clip, bobby pin, whatever you want. Then you can leave that to one side, and you're going to just concentrate on this. You're still keeping the other side of the band here. You're going to take a band, wrap it once and twice, and take another band, wrap it once and twice, and then you're going to pop that back on like so, and take a green band and pull it through all of this. So pull it through that first, and then slide those wrapped bands that we made on, and then take it through. And you're going to do the same again. You're going to take your stitch marker and pop it on the end of that side of the band, wrap once and twice, wrap once and twice, reposition your green band, take another, and slide all of them on like so. Alright, and we're going to pop the stitch marker through both of these, okay, because this needs to get loomed in when we do this next round into here. Okay, we need to loom this in. So we'll keep that to one side right now. We're going to pick up our last stitch from here. Okay, now our first stitch here is going to be orange, so you just do a normal single crochet and change your stitch marker. Ignore your slip stitch here, go into your first stitch, and we're doing a slip stitch. Wow, that was clever of me. Thank goodness I had that on a stitch marker. There we go, like so. We're working our way around in purple. Let's get a couple of purple over here. Then I don't have to keep leaning across. Okay, in this stitch, this last purple stitch, I'm doing purple. We have a slip stitch and we go into orange. I'm going to do purple again. Okay, and then as I come in here, it's going to be orange, so we do a slip stitch. Okay, now we have a couple of oranges to do, but if you remember, we also have our bow tie, our little cravat. Now the cravat is going into this stitch and this stitch. Okay, so we're doing orange here. In this stitch, I'm going to want to pick up this green loop, the first green loop. So I'm going to take that off my stitch marker carefully so as to not unravel anything. Okay, I want this to go through. So I'm going to have it on the inside of my stitch. So I've got the two orange stitches and then I've got the green stitch here. So I'm going to go through and do a single crochet in orange, and you can see it's trapped in here. In this stitch we're going to do the same with the other side. So take it off my stitch marker, I'm going to pull it through. I want it to be on the inside really, like so. Pull it through. Oh, come on. Make sure I've got it. There we go. I'm just going to hold it so that it's on the inside. Pull it through and single crochet. That's how I've trapped it in to the actual stitching. Single crochet. Now I'm going to change to purple. So with a slip stitch, and then this one is purple, which is our first stitch. Okay, I'm going to move my stitch marker to that, and then miss the slip stitch, and we're going round again. Just in purple. What I'm trying to do is get the waistcoat to narrow in just a tiny bit. If you have a look, see how it's coming in a little bit here. So this is our second to last purple here. So in this purple one we're going to do a purple. In this orange we'll do a purple. In the next orange we will do a slip stitch and change to orange. 1 and 2. So this one is going to be purple, so we'll do we do orange here? Let's try, let's see. Orange, and then we'll do purple here. So slip stitch into purple, like so. Miss the slip stitch, we're going into our last purple here, like so. Alright, so this is how I've got it coming in, like this. I'm going to pop my end stitch on my stitch marker, so I've got my last stitch and my first stitch, and what we're going to do is work on his head a little bit and attach his arms so that we can, while we've still got him open and unstuffed, we can sort that out. So I'm just going, I've got 3 bands over here still, which are my count for 3 more rounds. Alright, but I do want to do this first. So the first arm, or we can do a nose. I suppose we should do the nose first. Single band, wrap it once, twice, 3 times. And depending how big you want the nose, you can do it with 2 bands. Slide it on to a white band, like so. And what we're going to do is where we want, I'm holding it so I've got the bands inside, where we want the nose, which is going to be here and here, I'm going to go through, I'm going to pull one loop through, attach the other. And you can tie a slip stitch there and pull that loop back inside the head like so. Okay, and that's how you can do a nose. You then have the loop on the inside in here. If you want to keep it taut, what you're going to need to do is sort of flip your head inside a bit and find a band that is far enough away, so maybe up here where the eyes are, so that you can just put a little bit of tautness there so that it's not going to get pulled through and stick through. Do that. Eyebrows are a little tricky because you're wanting them to come from the middle of his face here, so I would say from here and here. All right, and again, the shape of these, you might need to take them out, readjust, fiddle around with it a little bit, just like we do with the mouth. Oops, for Pennywise. Try and get the bands an equal length, because then you don't have one that is loose and another that is not. So kind of like that, and then pull the inside of the loop in, and you want to secure it inside. So if you see, there it is, I've got the loop inside. I'm going to put my hook through it and find a little white band to go through, and I'm going to attach those together with a white band like that. And that's how I've done his eyebrow. Now, as you can see, this one is going up, whereas this one I've got coming down a bit. Up to you how you do it, whichever shape you want to have it arced in. You could come down a little bit, or you could have it arced up like I just have. So there's one. Make sure that they're even. 2. 3. I could pull that one across to over here. Again, I'm going to hold it, come through where I want it to end, which is here, pull it down to the inside. So mine is going to look like that. Or I can make it come down a bit. If I went, let's see what I can do. I could do it like that and come down. Let's see if that looks nicer. Come down into this one here. Pull through. There we go. So that's kind of a bit better. So I'm going to go inside. There's my end loop here. I'm going to capture a little white band next to it. And this dude can have eyebrows a bit like mine. There we go. His eyebrows are a bit like that. They're not as looped down. I think with this one I came down lower. I came down over to here. But again, you do them how it suits you, the shape and everything. Might take a bit of trial and error. I'm going to leave mine like this. I don't think that's too bad. I'm going to do red for his mouth. Again, I'm going to start over here, and I want to be maybe under an eye. Again, make sure they're even, and then do your fold. Oh, I think I've done that too low. So I'm going to... That's almost Pennywise-ish. Let's see how I do this way. It's so nice and easy to be able to just adjust it, which I do like. Oh, come on, come through. This is, I guess, the fiddliest part, is doing the face side of things, really. And then we've got to go up one tiny bit, don't we? Try doing it up here. I think that's good, and we'll again tuck it in. Now this time I'm tucking it in the same stitch that I did it in, because otherwise it will be too far above. So I've gone back down through the stitch that I was in. I'm going to grab a white band, flip my head. I'm going to pause you because a kiddo is coming up. Oh my goodness, who would think that children would be hungry at lunchtime? Alright, so flip your head inside out. There's our end stitch. I don't know if you can see it. There it is here. I'm going to put it on my hook. I'm going to grab a little white band close to it, and I'm going to tie that off so that it doesn't unravel and come through to the front. There we go. Now, so that's his face. Again, yours might look a little different depending on how you've done your eyebrows and whatnot. Next, we want to do arms. We were going to do arms before and we didn't. So, arms, you're going to go down the center here, but you want one arm to sort of come almost where the orange and the purple meet, okay? Because otherwise they'll be too far back. So make sure you've got your 3 little tie-off bands, okay? You don't want to lose those. And you're going to grab the first band, keep it on your hook, okay? Then go through the spot next to it, okay? And then there's a third spot here. You're going to go through that, grab your 3rd band and pull through. Now you've got your 3 little bands on the inside here. Hold on to the first one and loop the other 2, all right? Then put the other one back on, one over the other, and then you need to tie off, okay? So I'm just going to pop that here. Oh, I can't use my counting bands. And tie off. I'm just tying off with a purple. All right. Now, don't tie off too tightly, because if you don't like where that's positioned, you can move it. All right. So you might feel, oh, that's a little bit far back. I'm going to move it forward. But I think that that's probably okay. Let's try the same. We're going to go in this spot here, which is just one back from the orange. Make sure that your tie-off bands, the anchor bands or whatever you call them, are secure. Don't unravel, dude. Alright, so this is our first one. Then in through the 2nd stitch. I'm going to hold that little dude. I don't want him to unravel. Then through the 2nd, and here's our 3rd. Pop that on my hook, pull it through. flip over. Can you see I've caught another band there? So I'm going to just let these go. I can see them clearly. I'll rehook one over the other, pop that third stitch on, one over the other, grab another tie off band here, and one over the other, and secure. Let's see if we feel that that's good. I think that's okay. I think that's going to be, and once we've obviously put our ruffle around the neck, because he's got a little ruffle around the neck happening as well, I think that will be okay. We maybe want to move this one forward one. Let's see if it's easy to do. All you need to do is unpick that one stitch, unhook these. Just be careful because you don't want these anchor bands to untie. Move one forward, alright, and we'll try it in one space forward. And see if it looks better. Let's have a gander. Yeah, I think that looks a bit better. Alright, so I'm happy with him at that. Now, we have 3 rounds left to do that are all single crochet in purple. So here's our first stitch in purple, and put your stitch marker on, and we will go all the way around in purple. Even, oh, it's gonna be raining soon. That's my phone telling me. All the way around, even over the orange bands. Okay. At this stage too, you could also stuff the head because we've done everything that we need to, but we can also do that as we get around, as we've finished our 6 rounds for the body. Be careful when you get to your slip stitches that you don't add an extra stitch by mistake. So we're coming up, this next stitch is our last purple, and then if you have a look, we've got the slip stitch here, and this is the real stitch that we go through. Here's our last orange, and then next to it is the slip stitch of the purple, this little angled stitch, so we go through the real stitch. Move your stitch marker to your first stitch. We have one more round to do of purple single crochet. Move your stitch marker. Whoops. and that is our last stitch. I'm going to pop that last stitch on my stitch marker, and now what we're going to do, there he is stuff his head. Okay, so grab your stuffing, and stuff his head. As you can see, this is $3.99. I got it from Hobby Lobby. You can get it from Michael's. It's not very expensive at all. It lasts for ages because our little Loomigurumi projects are so small that they really don't take that much. When you're doing huge, large Amigurumi projects, I guess it takes a lot of stuffing, unless you're making incy-wincy things. But for the most part, our little toys are quite small. So don't stuff it too much. You don't want the stitches to pry apart so that you can see them. You just want it to be stuffy enough that it's stuffy. And now what we're going to do, if you have a look, we want, if you squidge this closed, okay, we want his trousers to go from the center to the back. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to use a stitch marker just as a marker, a blue one. This is going to be my front, and this is going to be the back. Okay, I know where that is. I'll put a stitch marker there anyway, just so we know. Okay, so this is where we're going, and this is where we're at the minute. Okay, but these two spots are where we want to get to. So what we're going to do, pick up your last stitch. You can take that stitch marker off. We're going to single crochet to that stitch marker. This is the stitch before. Oops, I've got two bands there. In this stitch, okay, where our stitch marker is, take the stitch marker off. You're going to take a single band, pull it through and add that loop like a slip stitch and reclaim. You're going to chain 1, 2 and 3. You're going to pinch it. You're moving over here to where this stitch marker is. Push your hook through this stitch through this stitch, not through the stitch marker. There we go. You can get rid of the stitch marker now. We don't need it. We know where we're at. You're going to take the bottom side of the loop, pull it through, one over the other, and single crochet. And you can put your stitch marker back on. Now, what we want to see is whether we have 7 one side. I can see we probably need to go over one more, because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, that could work. Okay, that could work. So now what we need to do is 3 rounds for each leg in purple and 1 round in black for the shoes. Alright, so starting over here where we've got our stitch marker, we'll take that off. We've already gone through this stitch here, so we're going through the next stitch to it, and we'll do a single crochet, and we're going to put our stitch marker on this. This is our first leg. Okay, and we're going to do our first round in purple, and by the time we get back to that middle, to the stitch marker, we want 12 stitches. Okay, so we've got, that was our, we're going to count, this is 1, 2, 3, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, this is 5, 6, 7, 8. Now have a look here. If you see, do you see how we've got these little band here is coming across? We're going to go through that. How many is that? Is that 8? I can't remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 9. Then we're going through. Again, if you look here, we've got these 2 loops on the left and these 2 loops on the right. We're going to go through the 2 on the right. And the same for the next stitch in the middle, which was our little chain. Let's count how many we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll go into this stitch here, which is where we started. Oh, that's broken. No wonder I couldn't get a hold of it. So let's count how many we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got 11. We really want 12. We want 12 for each one. So I'm going to back up. Let's have a look at what we've got here. We're fine up to this point. It's where we connected up here. So we went through that stitch that went sideways. Now we'll go through the first chain. That's where I went wrong. So that was our first chain. Here's the second, which we just go through the right hand side. And here's the third. And we should have 12 now. I will count in 1 second. One side is always going to be smaller than the other, so you kind of need to have 12 stitches, and this one will make 12 stitches as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 is on our hook. That is better. Now, second round of purple. 1. Move your stitch marker. Then I have to go and cook quesadillas for the munchkins. Work your way around just this little leg. I've got a little snoring cat here. If you're unsure, count your stitches to make sure you've still got the right amount. Here's our first stitch for our third round for the leg. Now we're switching to the black band, slip stitch, pop your stitch marker on there, and we do a round of black single crochet. So we're still going to have the 12 stitches. Through your last stitch here. Alright, I'm going to pop this onto my stitch marker like so, and we're going to do the other side here. Now we have to start at his butt from his back, okay, and we're going into this stitch that you see right here where the last leg was, and again we're going to need 12 stitches, so we need to count. So we're going to do the first stitch and we're going to put our stitch marker on. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now have a look here, we've got 10, 11 and 12, so this is 10, 11, and this last stitch, if I can get my stitch marker out the way, we've got 2 little stitches here, two little bands here. All right, that's 12. And then we've got 1 here, so this will be round 2 and 3, and there's our 4th one in black. So this is round 2 with your stitch marker. Oopsie. Make sure you go through each stitch. And now we're going to do round 3. Move your stitch marker. And now we do our round of black. Whoa, black for the shoes. If I can get that last purple stitch right. There we go. So slip stitch for the colour change. Move your stitch marker to that. And around we go with black bands. hook that last stitch onto your stitch marker, and there we have his little body made up. Now what we're going to do next is go around his neck, as you can see, his neck, and then all the way around like this, which just gives the look of having like a little ruffled jacket. I start from the back because then it can hide a multitude of sins. So we're going to go through with one purple band and pull it through and chain another, just like we do with the princess hair. You're going into the next stitch, pull a band through all of the loops and chain another. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. Pull it through all the loops. Up. The hair's getting in my way. Here we go. Pull it through all the loops. Chain another. All the loops. Chain another. Now you're wanting to come down, okay, from his collar. You want to come down and follow the outline really a little bit here. So we're going to come down again. It's going to be trial and error. I'm going on the inside band near his arm, like so, and then come down. Oops, I think I've got a tie off band there. Get out of the way. There we go. Pull it through, chain another. Now you want this to come down probably to about here. Alright, so, and think about it, you don't want his waistcoat would not be outside his jacket. So because we've come here, we might want to go inside this line a bit to make sure that his waistcoat is not showing outside of his jacket. Okay, and then we can come back in again. And I'm going to come down. He wears like tails, and tails are quite long, so let's see what I'm doing here. Actually, I think I want to come, I'm going to come a little bit closer to him here actually. Unpick some of this. And I'm going to come closer to his waistcoat. I think that's better, and now I'll come down and see, I'm going to come around this way now, so I'll go straight. And I'm coming down over his pants really, because as I said, it's tails. And tails are long. I don't mean that he's got a tail, I mean that his suit is in tails. All the way around, whoopsie. Catch it before it unravels. Now I'm coming around the front again, and I'm going to want to do something similar. I'm going to come down this way. And then come up here. And again, I'm going to work my way into his waistcoat. So that it doesn't look like his jacket is on the inside of his waistcoat. Because that would not be right. Making sure I go through these stitches. Come on, there we are. Coming closer in here. Oops, let's grab that. Not work, might be too far out. Indeed. Then I'm going back around the neck. Again, still 2. So you do the first stitch and then chain 1. Make sure you don't trap his green hair by mistake. And I'm at my last stitch, so I'm going to go through where I first started, and I'm going to do a band like so and tie off, and then poking my hook through the center, I'm going to come through like so and pull, and that is going to be how I tie off. So his jacket is sort of like this. Can you see? Okay. Now we can actually stuff his body and his legs, and then all we need to do is finish off his little feet. So I'm back, kids are fed, I've had lunch, we're on feet. I've actually stuffed the body, alright, I just put a little bit of stuffing and I've closed off one foot, and we're going to do the other together. What we're going to do, pick up your leftover stitch, and we are going to work in the front loop. Okay, so skip this one here because this is going to make a big old mess. Okay, so we're going in through the front loop, the front stitch, this first stitch, go through it this way and then poke back this way so that you get this post. All right, and we're going to do a slip stitch like so. All right, and we're going to move our stitch marker to that, just so that we know that that's our first stitch. And poking or stuffing down so that it doesn't ooze out, we're going all the way around doing these front post stitches in each stitch. Try not to get the stuffing in your stitch as well. And I know it's fiddly, but that's what happens when you're working in small spaces like this. This might be our last one. Now, rather than doing decreases to close, we're going to do the same technique that I did before, which is you're going to collect that first. If you're looking at this, this is your stitch. You've got a top part and a bottom. Okay, this one here is the top loop. This is the bottom loop. We're going to go through the top loop only. So you've still got your last stitch here on your hook. You've got the top loop, and you're going to collect as many top loops as you can in this circle. All right, so I've probably got about 7 there. Slide onto a single band, black. Pop your stitch marker on the end of that, okay? Because you don't want that to become undone. So pop your stitch marker on the end of that. And what you're going to do is on that one single band that you looped everything on, you're going to go around and you're going to collect every top loop. So there's my next top loop. I take the end of my band and I pull it through that top loop. And we're going all the way around until we get back to the start, to that first loop that we did. And we're going to join them up together. So you're collecting each of these top, there should be about 12 of them, I believe. And we had 12 stitches, maybe 11. So collect the top loop. And this will give you the look of almost like a magic ring. So let's see, here's the first one, there's the second one. I think I've got one more here. Just poke that through. So here's my end, here's the beginning. I'm going to pop the beginning on my hook like so. I'm going to get a band to tie these off together nice and tight, and then when you sort of stretch it out a bit so that it's rather like how you stretch out a magic ring, see how it's evened out, and you're going to go back through the back side of him and grab that tie off band and pull that back inside his body like so. Squidge that out, and there is the end of his feet, which I think is a lot tidier than doing single crochet, decrease, single, because then it sort of, you know, ends up with a point and you have to push it back down. That, I think, is a lot tidier. So there we have it. There is Joker. I hope you enjoy making him. His jacket's a little bit different from the first one, but I actually prefer it coming out like this. I think it makes it look like he's got a fatter tummy. So there's Joker. I hope you have fun making. I can't wait to see yours, how yours has turned out. And if you like this video, like and subscribe so that you can keep up with me when I do more. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.